Hey y'all, welcome back to the Being Perfected series, where we discuss the habits I talk about in my book, Being Perfected in Godliness, the Foundations. This habit that we're talking about today brings us closer to God, and it helps us to live a life of purpose and peace. Today, we're diving into our sixth and last habit, a habit that's often overlooked in our busy world, but it is absolutely transformative, and it's observing the Sabbath. Now, I know what you may be thinking. The Sabbath, isn't that an Old Testament thing? But let me tell you, the practice and the habit of observing the Sabbath is God's timeless invitation to rest, to reflect, and to reconnect with Him. It's not just about stopping work. It's about stepping into His presence and letting Him renew your spirit and trusting Him with all the things that you think you have to handle at that moment. In Genesis 2:2-3, we see the first mention of the Sabbath. It reads, by the seventh day, God had finished the work He had been doing. So on the seventh day, He rested from all His work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. God Himself modeled rest, not because He was tired, but to show us that rest is holy and essential on our journey. Think about that for a moment. The God who created the universe took time to rest. So if He saw rest as valuable, how much more do we need to see it and use it as a valuable time to renew our strength? Sabbath is more than just about physical rest. It's a time to pause and reflect on God's faithfulness, to delight in His blessings, and to remind ourselves that He is the one in control, not us. He's the one that causes things to happen, not us. So here's the question. When was the last time you really rested? Not just turned down your phone or turned it off and took a nap, but truly rested in God's presence. The kind of rest that refreshed your soul and strengthened your faith. In Exodus 20:8-10, God commands us to remember the Sabbath and to keep it holy. This isn't just a rule to follow, it's a gift to embrace. Sabbath is a way to practice the trust that we have in God. When we stop working, we're saying, Lord, I trust You to provide. I trust that the world will keep turning even when I'm not striving. So how can you start to embrace the Sabbath? Here's 3 simple ways. Make it intentional. Set aside time of your week to choose that day or a portion of that day to rest and to focus on God. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be intentional. A lot of us use that time as Sunday. That's a time that's devoted to going to church. We're worshiping Him. After the day, maybe we're serving as well after we attend service. And so make sure you're setting aside time to make sure you're observing the Sabbath. You can also choose to make it a habit by just disconnecting and reflecting on your week. You're turning off distractions and you're spending time intentionally again in prayer, in worship, and in reading your scripture. You're allowing that time to reconnect you with God, who's the one that will sustain you for the week to come. Last but not least, you can delight in God and His creations. Use this time to enjoy His blessings, whether that means spending time with your loved ones, enjoying nature, or simply being still. In my book, I share practical ways to incorporate the Sabbath into your life and share times and ways that it could transform your relationship with God. Listen, I encourage you to step into the rest that God has for you this week and create this and make this a habit for your journey in walking with God. Let Him renew your spirit. Give Him time to remind you of His faithfulness, how He's made provisions, how He's provided grace and mercy in your week. If you're ready to explore this habit even further, make sure you grab a copy of my book, Being Perfected in Godliness, the Foundations, from our website. And until next time, be blessed. And I'll be back next week for our final conclusion and wrap up for the series. Thanks for watching.